Good, happy Wednesday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, Sununu details pitch to bring Amazon's headquarters to Londonderry. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Take on your toughest snow removal jobs with a tractor you'll be proud to own. A Kubota B-Series tractor. With a clean, powerful Kubota diesel engine, you can add an optional snowblade or PTO front-mounted blower and throw back whatever nature throws at you. Now get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 84 months. Plus, get up to $1,000 in customer instant rebates when you buy a B-Series tractor and 2 qualifying implements.
Chapel Tractor, where you'll notice the difference since 1955.
Governor Chris Sununu is making his official pitch to lure Amazon to New Hampshire, and the focus is on bringing the online retail giant to the rapidly growing town of Londonderry. The governor and his economic development team held a joint press conference with officials from Londonderry this morning. The idea is to offer space in the pre-approved and shovel-ready Woodmont Commons development right off I-93. Amazon is in the process of a nationwide search for what it calls HQ2, or its second headquarters, which could bring up to 50,000 jobs wherever it lands. Of course, there is going to be cutthroat competition for HQ2. Regionally, Boston and several other Massachusetts locations are in the running. Amazon is asking cities and states to submit proposals by Thursday, and Governor Sununu says he likes our chances here in the Granite State.
One of the most important aspects of this plan is it wasn't some bureaucrats sitting in a room and the governor going and making a single pitch. This is a plan that was put together with the input and directive of the business community, of the university system, of the stakeholders, of the surrounding towns.
Now, Governor Sununu has long been a skeptic of commuter rail, but he says if Amazon is willing to locate in Londonderry, he's willing to reconsider that position, saying it should be on the table. Reporting in Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that report. And we would like to hear from you. Let us know what you think. Do you think Amazon should come to New Hampshire? Comment below and let us know. We want to hear from you. Teacher is no longer employed after allegations of relationship with student. A Storholt High School teacher is no longer employed by the district after allegations surfaced about an inappropriate relationship between the teacher and former student that began when the student was at the high school, according to officials. That teacher resigned after being served with an injunction to dismiss, noticed by the district, indicating the district was beginning to process of termination the employee, according to the superintendent Margareta Rizzi and Storholt High School principal Juliet Miller. The teachers whose name, according to officials, cannot be released under the law was placed on administrative leave on September 18th, hours after a report was made by Rizia indicating that the teacher began an inappropriate sexual relationship with a student that continued after the student had graduated and that recently ended, officials said. Rizia forwarded the report to Storholt Police Department immediately, and the Storholt Public Schools has been cooperating fully in the police investigation, according to officials. Man convicted in plot beheaded blogger for Islamic State. Let's take a listen to this video from NBC Boston.
Is a victory in the fight against ISIS and all terrorist organizations targeting the United States. Mr. Wright is a terrorist, an ISIS supporter and recruiter who intended to wage war against the United States by beheading people and killing Americans. He masterminded a plan to behead a New York woman who had been sentenced to death by ISIS. He also wrote and published an online manifesto directing ISIS supporters to kill American citizens. In that manifesto, he wrote, "America's days are numbered." These were not just words, as the defense argued. This wasn't fantasy. It was real. Wright convinced his own uncle to support ISIS and pursue martyrdom. His uncle was in direct contact with Junaid Hussein, an ISIS leader located in Syria who was directing attacks on the West. Together, Wright and his uncle planned to murder Americans, and those plans were as real as the long knives that Wright's uncle bought to carry them out. On the morning of June 2nd, 2015, Wright encouraged his uncle to follow through on a plan to murder police officers. His uncle was shot and killed in a confrontation with police as he tried to carry out those plans. Wright then tried to destroy evidence so he would not be implicated in the attacks. When rhetoric turns to action and American lives are at risk, the U.S. government will take action to ensure that the public is protected. Thanks to swift action by law enforcement in this case, innocent lives were saved. I commend the law enforcement officers of the FBI, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the Boston Police Department, and others for investigating this case. And I also want to acknowledge Assistant United States Attorney Stephanie Sigmund and DOJ Trial Attorney Greg Gonzalez for their commitment to seeing this case through to a successful conclusion.
Okay, and there you go on that report in that video. V-Buy food trailer arrives in Portland. Let's take a listen to this video from WMTW News 8 in Maine.
To Portland, this is VB, a fully automated and refrigerated trailer making the rounds in Portland. It has dozens of locked cubbies filled with meals from local restaurants, and when you place your order, your food is kept safe and chilled until you pick it up.
It's been great. I mean, as you can see, people are curious. It's a big orange box. People want to know what it is, how it works. So the response has been very, very positive.
And each day, a new menu is released at VB, and if you would like to try it out, VB is parked at the corner of Middle and Temple Streets between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Very cool indeed. Looks like a cool thing. I want to try it out next time I'm in Maine. Okay, and now let's take a look at your stock market and see how your stock market closed for this evening. Your Dow Joe Industrial Average closed in the green, it went up. Your NASDAQ closed in the green, it went up. S&P 500 Index closed in the green, it went up. CNBC IQ 100 closed in the green, it went up. Gold closed in the red, it went down. Oil closed in the green, it went up. US 10-year closed in the green, it went up. Euro/USD closed in the green, it went up. And VIX closed in the red and went down. Dow raises 160 points to close above 23,000 for the first time as IBM posts best day since 2009. IBM shares surged nearly 9%, lifting the Dow and Joe Industrial Average. The Dow was also closed above 23,000 for the first time on Wednesday. The index first broke above 23,000 on Tuesday, but closed just below the mark. The Dow Joe Industrial Average rose sharply on Wednesday, closing above 23,000 for the first time after tech giant IBM reported better than expected quarterly results. Devastated widow can't imagine life without soldier at center of latest Trump dispute. Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News.
I'm in a sweet spot. I'm feeling good. The sun is shining. I knew it would. The world's a playground. I'm in the clouds. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out.
A new twist in the healthcare battle. Some senators are now proposing a bipartisan deal to restore the Obamacare funding that the president promised to eliminate last week. He's sending mixed messages about that right now as he faces questions about a phone call he made to the widow of a fallen soldier. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega starts us off. Good morning, Cecilia.
George, good morning to you. President Trump has said making these calls to these families is the hardest thing he has to do as commander-in-chief. But now it's this phone call to this widow that you just mentioned that has him facing criticism this morning. President Trump made good on his promise to call the grieving families of those 4 special ops soldiers killed during a siege in Niger. But this morning, his message to one grieving widow is sparking backlash. President Trump told the wife of Army Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, quote, "He knew what he signed up for, but when it happens, it hurts anyway." That's according to Florida Democratic Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, who says she listened to the call on speakerphone.
This is a soldier who gave his life for his country. He is a hero.
The call came just as Maisha Johnson was on her way to the airport for the arrival of her husband's remains. Pregnant with their 3rd child, Johnson laid her head on his flag-draped casket and gave a final kiss.
Just hurt me to know that he's not going to be here with us.
Overnight, the White House declined to address the details of the president's phone calls to the families, instead saying in a statement, the president's conversations with the families of American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice are private. It comes on the heels of the president's false claims that other presidents, including President Obama, did not personally call the grieving families of fallen soldiers.
The traditional way, if you look at President Obama and other presidents, most of them didn't make calls. A lot of them didn't make calls. I like to call when it's appropriate, when I think I'm able to do it.
And Tuesday in the White House, President Trump blamed President Obama once again, implying Obama did not call his chief of staff, John Kelly, in 2010 when Kelly's son was killed in the line of duty in Afghanistan.
I mean, you could ask General Kelly, did he get a call from Obama? You could ask other people.
Now, General Kelly has made it repeatedly clear to reporters that this is something he does not want to talk about, the death of his son, understandably so. The White House says that he never got a call from President Obama in the wake of his son's death. And while Obama aides do not dispute that, they do, George, tell us that General Kelly was invited and did attend a breakfast here at the White House for Gold Star families where he sat at the First Lady's table. But that was 6 months after the death of his son, George.
And as you said, General Kelly himself prefers this all remains private. Cecilia, thanks very much.
Okay, and there you go on that report. And